Welcome again to another episode of the Real Collective Podcast. I'm Brendan McKeigan. With me, as always, is Sean Tasse. If you're having a good time, please like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to download us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Today on the RCP, still calling it that, we're going to talk about what's going on right now. There's been a little bit of change in the market, and a lot of people are getting their information from clickbait articles, which is the greatest form of news. So we're going to dive into that because there's been a lot, and most of those articles don't involve actually talking to any realtors or people in the business. So, Sean, what was the driving force behind this one for you?
Yeah, so there's a few clients have reached out recently saying, oh, what's going on with this? And they're reading articles and saying, oh, well, what about this? And, how much has my house gone down by and all that sort of stuff. But I just want to take a quick second to say that I hope every time that you introduce me from now on that you extend my name out like a wrestler.
Okay.
Sean Tasse. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Okay, great. Done.
Yeah. And I'll need to, I feel like I'm missing a button on this shirt, and I'll need to stand a little bit closer to the razor next time. I feel like I'm really disheveled at best.
Nah, you look like you're just like on like a business vacation.
Great, I'll take it.
Yeah, there you go.
A business vacation. That is my life. Business vacation. Yeah, man. It's weird. There's been a whole bunch of stuff happening in the news where, the economists say this, right? And real estate is not really it oftentimes defies what's happening in the rest of the economy because there's different levers that have an effect on the real estate market as a whole. And a lot of it has to do with like human factors that can't really be, Bitcoin's going down, this is going down, this is going down. There's some human factors and some emotional factors in it, but then there's also the fact that it's like you're buying a piece of land, right? And it's like it is a tangible item that will never change, and as a result, there's something different about it than some of these other economic things. So whenever these people say, "Oh, well, we interviewed economists, and the economists say that there's the potential for your, property values across Canada to go down by 40%, or that your mortgage rate is going to be double, when you go to renew what you're paying right now." Like all of these things lead people to think like, holy crap, if I'm paying, $3,000 a month on my mortgage, if my mortgage rate's going to be double, am I paying like $6,000 a month on my mortgage? I can't do that. I'm going to run into financial ruin and I'll have to sell my house. Right. So all of this is creating fear. And it's really, like you said before, like this clickbait thing. These guys don't care about telling you the news. They care about selling you advertising. And so they have to put the best article at the top so that they can get you to click on their thing so that you subliminally see the ads as you're scrolling through and reading. Man, some of the times you're reading these articles and it's like you're trying to read the article and it looks like the article is superimposed on the ad as opposed to the ad superimposed on the article. And it's like,
or they're breaking it into chunks and like behind it is one big ad. So as you're scrolling, you just see more of the ad plus the banner at the bottom. And then the one pops up on the side that you can't get rid of, or it just goes to the ad.
Yeah. And you click on it thinking that you're reading an article, but in reality, what you're doing is consuming advertising. Yeah. Right? So it's like, don't believe the hype, Yeah. And so, I wanted to, because people read this stuff and it happens to us. Right. And there's so many, first of all, there's so many realtors who are confused about what's going on, not to mention, economists who are confused and people who are making these crazy predictions, even like CMHC predictions. It's like, none of this is like predictions are predictions, and you kind of have to take them with a grain of salt. What you have is what you have. You can look at the history to help you make some decisions, but you just sort of have to deal with what you've got on a day-to-day, right? Live life in the moment. As hokey as it is, it almost typically will apply to real estate, at least for us. So
yeah, and that's a big thing, right? everyone's worried about mortgage rates going on the rise. But if you look at 2020, what happened that year? Mortgage rates were right here. And then what happened is they went straight down to keep the economy going a little bit. So all those mortgage rates dropped right down. And then around this time, what happened then? Things started opening back up. Oh, the mortgage rates went back up, and they're almost where they were before the pandemic happened. So all we're doing is getting back to what it was. Like, I don't know what the surprise is for people or why they think it's going to just skyrocket like that. Everything is just kind of balancing out again. That's all.
I guess people didn't get the memo that COVID is over.
Yeah, it's over. It's done. Nobody gets it anymore.
No.
That's refreshing.
And true. I think that in Alberta, someone was telling me that they're like, no, there's no more mandates. There's no more testing. There's no more, if you're sick, you're sick. It's probably not COVID. You're just whatever. They're just like, no, thank you. So anyways, yeah. So here's the thing. You're right. Is the Bank of Canada posted rate before COVID for about a year or two was hovering just under that 2 mark, right? 2%.
Yeah.
And then during COVID times, it dropped instantly, right? As soon as March 2020 hit, boom, that posted rate, Bank of Canada posted rate went down to 0.2%. It was such a low number. It might as well have been 0. And it stayed there. It stayed flat until recently. And then it's hiking back up to that point where it was at before. And so, even if to offset, we have to go a little bit above, and we're above that 2% line where the Bank of Canada posted rate is, a bit higher. It's okay. That's what a healthy mortgage rate, like a 5-year fixed healthy mortgage rate, lives between 4 and 6%, right? We were unhealthy on the other side, and it helped a lot of people get into houses, and it helped the economy continue to roll. It served its purpose. Now, if it's going back to what a healthy, normal thing is, that doesn't mean Chicken Little, the sky is falling. Oh my God, everything's going to be terrible. Because the problem is people make these assumptions based on such narrow points of view, or it went up by 0.5 point over the course of the last 3 months. So over the course of the next 3 months, it's going to go up 0.5 point. And over the course of the next 3 months, it's going to go over 0.5 point. Over the course of the next 3 months, well, no, it's going to stop, right? It's going to stop at the place where it makes sense. And then we're going to be back to normal. And the whole purpose of these stress tests that they put into place are to make it so that we don't run into the same issue that they had in the States, where the prices drop by significant amounts, right? The stress test, the whole idea behind the stress test is, hey, if the interest rate goes up by 2%, can you handle it? And if the answer was no, you didn't get a mortgage, right? So we saw the people who set the rules about lending saw what happened in the States in 2009, and they said, ooh, this is not good, right? I mean, man, even now in the States, they will lend you 100% loan to value on your money. In Canada, it's only 80%. And they will say, oh, well, you think you've got projected income on this rental property of this much? Sure, we'll lend you 100% of that purchase price. And, sure, yeah, we'll lend it to you, right? They want to continue that going. In Canada, it's been tighter, right? So yeah, it's, I think there's a lot of people who are afraid. And I think a lot of what the media does is scare people.
Oh yeah. I mean, the news is just, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I think when you're watching a national chain of anything news, it's about entertainment and ratings. There's a lot of great news sources, and I'm not going to be like, you can't get your news from there. Because don't get me wrong, obviously there's some stories that are there, but sometimes things just get glorified. Sometimes you get these marketplace reports that are just way over the top. And then sometimes obviously you do get some bad apples, but it really feeds into it of this is what all realtors are. So I don't know. I think just be mindful of what you're consuming, I guess, is kind of the takeaway. It does. It's a little bit unfortunate too that like some people have missed out on that window of getting that low interest rate to be able to get in on the ground floor of owning a place. Because unfortunately still and I mean, it's human nature, right? It's change, and it's not really a thing that humans really crave. So when they're like, oh, I want to buy a house, they're like, no, not yet. No, not yet. No. Okay. Too late. Sorry. And I mean, even with the house prices, and we've talked about this before, the average house price in Ottawa has gone down a bit since April or March, I guess. And now with interest rates going up, all it does is balance out your monthly payment. So everything there is kind of staying the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we tracked the numbers for, we tracked them every month, but we sort of hit a high point on the residential side in March, and then it went down by $24,000 from March to April, and then another $25,000 from April to May. So it'll be interesting, but it just seems like it's sort of starting to level out. So all that really happened is it looks like we hit our spring market a little bit earlier. So the seasonality happened a little bit earlier this year. I think now that the election's over, we know what we're going to have moving forward. There's a little bit less fear. Well, people, even especially in Ottawa, people get a little bit worried when there's an election happening. Oh, everything's going to change at the end of an election, so we better put everything on hold. People are starting to get a sense for what the rates are. Here's the thing. Beautiful looking houses are still selling, and they're still selling for record setting prices. We set a record on a sale last week for a price point that we should not have had for that home. And we did. And this is amidst everything else that's happening. So I'm not too worried about it. It puts us in a place where having the right strategy to selling your home, ensuring that it's beautiful, that there are great photos taken, that's going to go a long way to making sure that it used to make sure that you would be the house that would sell for the record setting price. Now what it's going to do is going to make sure that you're the house that sells, as opposed to your neighbors that don't, and they end up sitting. So you might not set a new record with your price, but at least you'll be sold if you need to sell, right? So the questions that I was asked recently is, how much less is my house worth now than when I bought it 2 months ago? I just closed on it. I bought it for this price. How much less is it worth? And the answer to that particular client was, it's actually not worth less, because when they priced it at their price point, they were expecting it to go into multiple offers. And this was right at the beginning of the shift. It didn't go into multiple offers, and you just paid them what it was worth. Right. And so I don't think that your house is necessarily, I mean, you never know until it's time to sell. I don't think your house has necessarily gone down in value because you bought it right. Further to that, you've been doing some work, some renovations, upgrading it on the inside. So all of that's going to offset. And even further to that, it doesn't matter until it's time for you to sell. Right. The house is just like a stock, right? Stocks can go up and down, and they go up over time slowly. And it's the same with real estate. The only time where it's an issue is if you have to sell, or if you're forced to sell and the market is down. Until then, it doesn't really matter what it's worth, right? What it's worth is it's a place for you to sleep at night and put your furniture, park your cars. That's what it's worth.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like, I guess that's kind of the difference too with Ottawa and the rest of the country, is that we still are a government town. So while some people might be a little bit panicked by what's going on, it does sort of sustain here. Yes, the average house price dropped, but I think that's just people maybe getting tired of that crazy low bidding war scenario where you price a $800,000 house at $600,000. And then you just like, I don't know, $950. And then, there's a little bit more of like pricing a home accordingly. I think is what's maybe happening, and then maybe what people are seeing, where it's just homes are being priced a little bit more fairly, I think, which maybe those homes don't show up in people's searches, but there's a whole lot of factors that go into it. But I think at the end of the day, what we're just seeing is, like you said, that sort of spring market, like November and December, it started climbing up, and that's the slow time. And I was incredibly busy thinking I was going to take a couple weeks off in December. Nope. I was working nonstop.
Yeah. I think really what happened is because I get to spend more time on the listing side and I'm analyzing and I'm reviewing all of the offers that are coming through. We always look at what the distance to second is. So, when are we selling? How many offers are there? And what's the distance between the top offer and the second place offer? And we call that the froth, right? So how much more is the top person willing to pay? Because typically what you see, if you've got 5 offers, you'll have 3 in about fair market value. You'll have 1 that's a little bit lower. And then you'll have 1 that's like, I need this house. And they just go crazy on it. And that's what gives us the froth. And that's what sort of had been falsely pumping up the market. Now what we're seeing is, hey, houses are selling for fair market value. And we stop that froth for the most part in March. There's still times where it happens here and there. Because like I said, if the house shows exceptionally well, it's going to sell for a great price, even now, considering everything else that's going on. But don't expect that you're going to get, 17 offers and your house is going to sell for $200,000 over list, because there aren't all of those buyers. And I mean, we can check it in a link to it below, but where have all the buyers gone? Right? We just did a video about that a week or two ago. So, there's not as many buyers, and as a result, there's not as many offers to artificially inflate the price. Okay. So the other question that I was asked is, how much more will my mortgage be in 4 or 5 years? And I mean, that's just anxiety. That's like the biggest anxiety question. I don't know. My crystal ball is in the shop. I have no clue. But what I will tell you is, if the rates go up too much, too fast, the whole thing breaks. Right. So, and I think the misunderstanding is people say, oh, well, rates are going to double in however many years, or they're going to go up by 40%. It doesn't mean your payment goes up by 40%. It just means the interest portion of your payment goes up by 40%. So, if you're paying, let's say a $3,000 payment and you're new into it, okay, maybe more of your payments will go towards interest than go toward your principal. But as you continue to pay that down, more of your payments are going to go towards your principal than towards your interest. So your payments won't double. It's the same mistake I think that people make when they hear that condo fees are going up. So, hey, we're increasing the amount that we're contributing to the reserve fund by 25%. People think, oh, my condo fees are going up by 25%. No, they're not. Just the amount that's going towards the reserve fund is going up by 25%, which is only the amount that you're contributing towards the reserve fund is only a portion of the condo fees that you pay. Okay. And it's the same with these interest rates going up. Even if the rates do go up, and they should, the rates should be higher. Right. And so if the prices of houses come down a little bit, the rates will go up. And like you said, your payments are going to be the same. But, if in 5 years things are tight for you, then you can just re-amortize over a longer period of time if you need to keep your payments the same, if the rates are a little bit higher. So there's solutions to it, right? It's nothing to get freaked out about. We historically have been very insulated in Ottawa, being a government town and also being sort of a high-tech north sector, right? Silicon Valley North. All of that really helps. I don't think that we have to worry about, the sky is falling or the market's going to crash. The market has been sort of hyper inflated, and it's going to normalize. It's not going to crash. It's going to moderate and come back down to a level that we're used to seeing in Ottawa, where it takes 2-3 months to sell your house, and you sell your house before going to buy another one, right? I think that's what we should be expecting over the next little while, which frankly is a return to a place where I think people are comfortable a little bit more. More happy.
Yeah, I think so too.
Regular market, So.
Absolutely. All right. That's a good spot for a break. We're going to take a look at a word from our sponsor, probably us, and take a look at one of our videos. We're going to come back and wrap things up by talking about maybe some things to do in Ottawa now that the festival seasons are coming back. So we'll take a break. Again, like, subscribe, and share. Download us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we'll be right back.
This episode of the Real Collective podcast is brought to you by Real Collective. Real Collective brings together best-in-class real estate agents and collective experts in the field to deliver the best possible service to our clients. We govern ourselves with honesty, open-mindedness, and compassion. With diverse skill sets, our agents are able to better serve a wide array of clients, including first-time buyers, first-time sellers, transferees, estate sales, investors, and rural, vacation, and luxury properties. Authenticity and transparency are pillars of our process, which allows us to put our clients at the center of everything we do. Our years of experience and knowledge allow us to deliver prestigious service and optimal results. If you are interested in buying or selling your home, contact us today at realcollective.ca.
Welcome back, everybody, to the RCP. We're going to break down the second half of the show. Hope you enjoyed that. And if you are enjoying us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Download us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you want to talk about something we talked about in the first half of the show, book an appointment with us in the link below for Calendly, for Sean or myself. You can book yourself in a time slot, and it's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So now that things are opening back up, there's a lot of great things happening in the city, in the give We're covering some of them that are going on. Just to give you an idea, but you can also just go to ottawafestivals.ca and it'll give you a breakdown of all the festivals that are going on. So some of the big ones that are going on right now, we've got Ottawa Italian Week, which is usually a pretty big one. If you're on Preston Street, you'll see all of the Camaros replaced with Ferraris. So
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh man, no, but there's some great stuff going on down there. It's the opening day ceremonies. They got a scavenger hunt, guide to Italian wines masterclass is kind of interesting there. There's soccer games. There's like a focaccia bread masterclass you can take, plus a whole bunch of other things, just performing in visual arts contest. I know there's a couple of comedy shows that are going on, like Italian-based comics. They're just Italian comics. So that's definitely worth checking out. It's June 9th to the 15th, to the 19th, I believe it is. So while this airs, maybe you missed it. Maybe you've got a couple days left that you can check it out. So make sure you go ahead and check that one out.
It's just this hand symbol all week.
Yeah, all week. That's it.
I guess you can't see the hand symbol if you're listening.
Listening? Yeah.
What do we have after that? Oh, Fringe Festival. Fringe Festival will have started by the time this airs. So that's a lot of fun. I haven't been in a long time. I miss the theater scene, obviously. Used to be in theater, if you were wondering, and performed at Fringe at least once. So
wow.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, Fringe is great. I've got a few friends that have shows. Christina Muehlberger, Diane Skull. They both have shows going on that are definitely more on the comedy side of things, like one-woman shows. But that's the thing. There's live theater. There's actual plays. There's one-woman, one-man shows, one-person shows, dance, improv, like just all the arts and creative outlets that some people don't get a chance to explore otherwise. And man, some of these Fringe shows are so good that I think people maybe sleep on it if they're not in the art scene. And I think if you're looking for something outside of what you might normally do, of like, well, let's go see a band at a pub. Okay, great. But like when there's this stuff going on, why don't you go see something like that? Go get, like, some of these people are telling their life story, and it's incredible the amount of work and efforts that they put in to memorize these hour-long plays, performances, what have you. And they're just I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's been tough for people who this is their gig for the last 2 years, right? So as much as we can support local, support the arts, I think that's all going to be good stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Around that time as well, in and around, actually, it's just starts a few days later. There's the Summer Solstice Indigenous Festival, June 21st to the 26th. Yeah, man. It's not just like Ottawa the Ottawa Indigenous community, but like this is Canada-wide. Canada's best Indigenous talent through music, dance, workshops, food. It's a free, family-friendly festival in Ottawa. It's a launch for the cultural celebration of Indigenous Day. It's got Indigenous culture and heritage, live performances, workshops, education days, traditional knowledge, culinary experiences, a popular international competition powwow. And if you've never seen one of those, they are incredible to watch. Man, again, check one of those out.
You know what? As a white man, I have a hard time. I get so pumped when I see these things, like hearing the drum circles and hearing seeing them. But I always feel like I'm like a voyeur. You know what I mean? Like I'm that I don't belong to, and then I'm not allowed to be there. So I have such a hard time. But I get so excited about seeing it, and the I don't know, for whatever reason. Ever since I was young, we went to REALTOR, which is just north of Belleville, and I went with my grandpa, and I saw like a drum circle, and I saw them like singing and dancing, and it was so like, oh man, I really wanted to get into it. I started like stomping my feet. I'm like, oh, I want to get some bells that go on my feet because this is really cool what they're doing. But I felt like, it's not mine. It's not fair. But I guess, it's a weird thing, but man, is it ever cool? Like, does it ever hit you right in the feels,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely worth checking out. And I think maybe there's a bit of like white guilt why you feel like you shouldn't be there.
Probably.
But I think part of it is like, you're there to educate yourself. Yeah. And that's where it starts, right? So hopefully we can all help each other out by doing that. A couple of big music festivals are back. We got Jazz Fest June 24th to the 3rd. Some of the people are performing: Punch Brothers, Blue Rodeo, Emmylou Harris, and the Red Dirt Boys. Man, who else? Pink Martini featuring China Forbes, Kamasi Washington, a whole bunch. You can go to their website and check out. I don't want to read everybody that's performing, but yeah, Blues Fest. Like Blind Boys of Alabama. Buddy Guy was canceled, unfortunately. But
I feel like Blue Rodeo is like a quintessential Canadian band. Like I don't know if anybody is like, nah, don't like Blue Rodeo. I feel like everybody does. I feel like it's
yeah. You just play it.
It's like the poor man's Tragically Hip.
Yeah, exactly. So go and check out OttawaJazzFestival.com. You can see the full lineup and stuff that's going on there. And then obviously the big one is Blues Fest, July 7th to the 17th. I've got my tickets. I'm excited. Alanis Morissette's going to be there. That's going to be fantastic. Man, it's going to be crazy.
You got Rage Against the Jewels?
What? No. Stop it. Sarah McLachlan, Jack Johnson. There is a night where it's Rage Against the Machine and Run the Jewels, and I'm very excited for that. But I think there's something for everybody in there. Again, just go check out what's going on. Whatever your musical preferences happen to be. Maybe your preferences are TLC and Ja Rule, which is the day before Run the Jewels and Rage Against the Machine. So that's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. Love country artists too.
Yeah. Oh, a whole bunch. So go check that one out. And let's just wrap things up because we're running out of time. Capital Pride, August 21st to the 28th. Lots of great things happening around the city. Lots of great comedy shows. Obviously parade. Let me bring it up again so we can find out more. If you haven't been, it's such a positive, good time. Parade, street festival, loud music. You got speakers. There's drag shows. Obviously musical performances. So concerts, everything like that too.
Love in the
plus
air.
Comedy shows.
Yeah, just love in the air. People loving life. People loving each other, and just like such good vibes.
Yeah,
it's all inclusive. It's an absolutely great time.
Yeah, capitalpride.ca. There's on June 17th. There's Pride Prom at the Ottawa Art Gallery, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So check out capitalpride.ca, and it's going to tell you all the things that are happening there. And that rounds it out. So we're going to call it there so that we can keep this to a listening amount of time for you. So we're going to wrap it up. If you do have questions, book an appointment with us in the Calendly links below. Give us a like, subscribe, and share on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. And until then, we'll see you on the next one. So keep it real.
Collective.